You're listening to the Custom Built Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you how I quit my job and figure out what I'm going to do next. So stay tuned. So I put in my resignation on Thursday. No, it wasn't Thursday. I wrote it on Thursday, but what I actually did was wait till Friday. And I put it in, and I just want to kind of just talk about my experience all around this and this decision that I made around doing this and why it's important to just really listen to ourselves and our bodies and trust. And it kind of goes off of last week's episode where I was discussing like how I got angry enough and what happened after that. So it's not so much that I was angry at this job. I actually really enjoy the work that I do. I love, fixing and putting something back together. And that's a lot of what I do. But I was feeling this super strong pull that I need to be done here by like December 1st. Like it was just this really strong feeling. Like I'm like, I got to be done. I have to be done. And a lot of it is I need to focus on what I'm trying to grow for myself and my own business. And so this was really just this like letting go to let in. And I was panicking a lot during this process of making a decision. So, there were some factors that I considered. It wasn't going as smooth in the office as I would have liked. I've shared my concerns with them as far as how I felt and when I, trying to break old cycles for myself, something that I would fall into a pattern where I would get emotionally charged and make an impulsive decision. And I felt myself getting to that point here, and I was like, no. Let's calm down. Let's just have a discussion about this. And so I did. I had a discussion. I think it went really well. I felt like it was received. But also something that came from that discussion was just that, and it's probably something that I knew, I just wasn't ready to really acknowledge it yet, was just that, a year from now, I'm going to be in the same exact position and doing the same exact stuff. And I'd probably make it a little bit more money. It's a commission based. So, more jobs come in doing it that way. Like I know I'd be making decent money, and that wasn't necessarily about that, but it was about the fact that I'd be exactly in the same place. And that just wasn't sitting super well with me because I need growth. I need change. I need to see things happening. And I didn't see that as my future here. And so that's important to recognize, like just knowing that what you want and what's important to you and what you value is important to know if you're going to do that in this career that you're in, right? So it's just understanding if it's important to you. And for me, that is important. So if I'm not growing, if I know that I'm going to be in the same space, I need to make action. So I need to take action and make things happen. So that was kind of the first little bit. Like I'm like, all right, I'm feeling angry. I had this conversation, and now I really do realize that this is going to be the same position that I'm going to be in next year, a year from now, same place. And, in this time, I've been working on my own business. I'm here doing these podcasts. I'm trying to grow it that way. And I just knew I wasn't giving myself the time and the energy towards that business of mine to grow and really get my hands deep in it and just really let it go. So I was dabbling a little bit. So I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory as far as like how I got to this decision and what was stopping me from just being like, all right, I know this isn't the place for me right now. I know what I need to be doing for my soul, but why can I not make this move? And the first reason was I was letting money decide what I was going to do. So for my family, we are a 2-income family. So that was a really big factor for me. So I'm going to quit my job that I have a really decent pay at and cut our income in half basically and hope that it works out. And in my gut, I knew we'd be fine. I'd figure it out, but it's still just a really scary situation to put us in when you don't really have a guarantee, right? So I think that's a lot of reasons why people don't take a chance is because we don't have a guarantee of what is going to be the outcome. And that's scary. And it's scary to make those choices and make the decision to move forward and do that without having a guarantee. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. And that's like a lot of a difference between like an entrepreneur versus somebody that's just like so stuck and paralyzed by their fear and unable to move forward. And I hope that people that have like this desire to do it will find their way to get past that fear, because one day there's going to be a time that they will look back, and I hope that they don't see it as regret. Like, I should have done this. I should have done that. Like, at what point have you ever looked back in your life and was like, that was a bad idea, when you went after something that was so true to you and you honored it? Like, do you ever regret those things? Because I know for me, I don't. And when it's those times where I really push it away and I let my mind think and overtake my like my logic, if I let my logic tell me what I'm going to do, I would never take the chances that I've taken throughout my life. And I would be in a completely different place if I had allowed myself to be dictated by that. So money was a big one. And I have been I don't know what to call it, maybe like a recovering power giver, where like I have really been working on getting myself back into my own power, into who I am, somebody that really takes action. And it's been this thing, I think I said it in our last episode, was like, I didn't realize how much I was sitting around and allowing other people to basically tell me what my next move is. And so this was me taking back my power. This is me taking my power back from money, right? Money is energy. Money just is, it comes, it goes, it flows. And so for me to be sitting here figuring out if I'm going to stick at a job or not because of money, I was like, this doesn't feel right. So, because I also know that as a business owner, I have the say of what I make and what I don't make. And it comes down to being smart about the decisions I make and making the right moves in it. I mean, I can make it happen. That's just as simple as that. And I know that's a really watered down way to look at things. It's something that I tend to do, as I water things down. But what it just comes down to that is this: it's as simple as that. Make it happen. And how do you make it happen? And knowing that you have the capabilities to make it happen, you just need to go for it, right? Like, to me, it's not failure if I start off and it's not going as financially well as I would want it to. That's not a failure. That's, for me, a learning experience and figuring out, is it me? Is it what I'm offering? Is it my messaging? There's so many different things that could be changed. And if I was just like, well, I tried this one thing and I failed at it because I didn't make the money I thought I'd make, I mean, that's failure, because I'm giving up. It's not failure because it didn't happen the way I expected. It's a learning experience, and I get to do it. So I reframed, right? I reframed my thought process. Like, hey, you can do this. You will figure this out. This is what your body has been telling you to do, and you need to do it. And you need to accept it and figure it out. So that was step one. And then the other parts are these synchronicities that I just think are so beautiful and so magical. And when we're not paying attention and honoring when these things come in, it's just such a lost opportunity to find magic in our lives and to really figure out the ways that we could trust ourselves, right? So another thing I was working on while I was trying to decide what my next move is, I was messing around with some cabinet designs. So we had a need in our business to do like an in-house cabinet designer. And with my background in interior architecture and design, I said, I can figure this out. This isn't rocket science, right? Like, I have a little bit of know-how on the computers. I can figure it out. I'm pretty quick to learn. So I download a program. I'm playing around with it. I am on Facebook in a women's building group, and someone's posting about a company, their partner started a cabinet company. They need help with building the business, and that they are looking for a cabinet designer. They don't need to have a lot of experience. So I'm like, this sounds exactly what I'm trying to do over here in-house. So wouldn't it be kind of cool if I could do both? So I reach out, I connect with them. I find out that this is when I find out that it's more of like, I'm looking for a partner that could take this and run with it. And I'm like, I am not a high-end designer. I'm still figuring this out. I give them everything, I'm like, it's not rocket science. I have experience in measuring kitchens. I understand. I've been doing this for a while now. I install a ton of kitchens, so it's not like I'm coming in here blind. And so as I'm discussing this, I'm like, man, this is really cool, because now I'm lining up these things that, as I'm making a decision to putting my resignation with my job, I am finding a lineup to help me grow my business in a different kind of way. And so with this business, I'm going to be doing concepts and designs. And now I'm like, man, this is perfect. So now I can do designs. I'm earning a little bit of income while I'm doing it without having to chase it. I still have this opportunity to present it to my current job as, maybe it's not in-house anymore, but at least it's somebody somebody you trust, and I'm not here looking, to take advantage, right? Like, I'm just, let's do this something together that can work. And I'm not trying to burn bridges, because like I said, I really love the people that I work with. I love the things that I do there. So I want to keep this avenue open. And so these are synchronicities that are lining up. And so I talk with them, I meet with them, and this is really great. And so the next day after I met with them was Thursday, and I decided to do my resignation while they're giving me an offer letter. And if that just doesn't line up and like inspire you to really just like make these choices and give you validation that things are going to line up appropriately the way that you need to, I don't know what else is, man. Like, I cannot tell you enough how I was just like, I will figure this out. It will happen. It'll work. And then here we are. I'm getting these random cabinet design things where I can start working on that while I have the time to build my business. Because when I'm sitting there having this discussion with this cabinet company, I'm laying out my rules, man. Like, I am saying, time is important to me. My time is really something that I value. So I need to know that you're not going to be on my butt about where I am when I'm at it, because I can work efficiently. I can get stuff done. And as long as you're seeing progress, does it matter where and when I'm doing this? And they're like, no. So to me, I'm like, perfect. Let's do this then. And it's like taking a risk without taking a risk. And the risk right now is going to be my time and energy and putting it into it. And because I was already making this decision with my job. My decision to stay at my job was not contingent on how this conversation went with this cabinet company. And so the fact that I just kind of released and let it all go and not keep it in like this desperate, scary space, like, what the fudge am I going to do if I don't get this, if I quit and then I don't have anything lined up afterwards? Like, where am I going to get some extra income? We're going into the holidays, which I'm excited about because I really want to be home with my kids. And I think that's really where this big drive was coming from. Like, you're coming into the holidays, they're going to be home a lot. Like, don't you want to be there with them and enjoy this time? And I do. I really want to be around with them without having to be like always home as like a stay-at-home parent. Like, I want to be home and I want to have my say as far as my time goes, and that goes for my kids and my husband. Like, I need to have a lot of say over my time. That might sound selfish, but it's just something that I've realized that it's really important to me. And so I value my time and I value the time that I spend it with, and I want it to be quality. So if I'm going to be home with my kids, I want to not have to be worried about what's happening at a job site. I don't want to be worried if I'm missing something. So it was just another nudge, like, December 1st, you need to be able to do this. So I just cannot stress it enough. There's just so many synchronicities that just line up throughout our lives. And without our eyes open and really paying attention, we miss it. And I want to ask you, how many times have you let your logical brain tell you when your soul was telling you one thing, and your brain was telling you another because it was scared and it was fear-based? Do you allow your logical brain to always tell you what to do, or do you listen and feel it in your soul? Because I'll tell you what, I was feeling nauseous and sick and scared when I was driving in to give my resignation letter. I was freaking out. And I realized, and this is another thing that I've come to notice about myself, is I am super triggered by people's reactions, and it makes me really uncomfortable. It made me feel really unsafe. So I am driving into the office and my body is having like a nauseous, I'm like I need to take deep breaths. I need to remind myself that I am safe. Like, I am not about to die. Like, that was the reaction that my body was feeling. Like, and your body just doesn't know sometimes. So you're having a reaction, your body doesn't know if you're actually in danger or if you're just imagining it. And so I literally had to sit and take deep breaths and tell myself that I am safe while I'm noticing that this reaction is my reaction is because I'm scared of what this reaction is going to be when I hand my resignation letter in. And like I said, it was all good. It was all good. Like, it wasn't like I was coming in there and being like, you guys suck. I can't wait to get out of here. Bye. It wasn't like that at all. I was just knew that it was going to be putting them in a position where we're going to be extra short staff now without having someone there. But again, that's not really my responsibility to worry about the staffing at this company. My job is to really focus and make sure that I'm taking care of myself. And I knew I was no longer providing my best service there because I'm in this wishy-washy space of should I stay, should I go? And I'm like burnt out with the work that we're doing because we don't have the staff to do it. So, I mean, there was just a lot of guilt and expectations that I was thinking about, but I was mostly worried about this reaction. And the person I was going to talk to has had a history of reacting in a way that reminds me of my past. And like I said, I realized that it's something that made me feel unsafe. So I was never harmed during these reactions, but it was really scary for me as a younger version of myself, like a child. And when someone had a really big reaction, I learned that it was scary and I didn't want to be in the position where I was threatened and scared because somebody was reacting to what I was saying. Even if it wasn't something horrible, right? Like, it was something as simple as I'm resigning, I'm figuring out my own stuff. I hope you understand. I would love to help in any way that I can to make this transition easier. I mean, that is not a malicious thing to say, but I'm still sitting here. My body is reacting because I'm worried that this person's going to have this big over the top reaction and I'm going to feel unsafe. Again, not because I ever was in an unsafe situation, but when you have somebody reacting in such a big way around you when you're a small child or, as you're growing up and you think it's your fault, it sticks with you, right? It's like that, I don't know, trauma is kind of a triggering word, and trigger is a triggering word, but a hot word, but I mean, it is what it is. And that is my experience. And so it was good. It was a good and a good way to figure out that I know what something that bothers me a lot, and that's something that I need to figure out and work through. But I couldn't let that stop me. And then I had to really just take inventory and just make sure, is this my body just reacting, or is this something like I truly feel like is a bad idea? And it wasn't that I thought it was a bad idea. It was truly, I was scared about a reaction and how I was going to feel uncomfortable. And so I did it. It was great. It was a very nice conversation. There was no over the top reaction. I just, made this whole big story up around it because of my past experience. And I try not to do that because it's not healthy to make stories up, guys. It's not, don't do it. Try not to do it. It's just, but I'm speaking to the choir here. I literally make stories up all the time in my head. And then I have to remind myself that it's not like that and try to detach as much as I can from an experience and from what my expectation is of what something's going to happen. I'm not somebody that could predict the future and the past is behind us. So what can I focus on right now? It's right here, right now. And if anything, that's like my biggest takeaway. Like, what do you need to do right now? And you need to honor yourself and listen to your gut instincts and just really trust that you know what is right for you. And you need to really focus on that. So don't allow these other things like money and other things come into play. I'm not saying like quit your job if this is like your only income and you have nothing lined up, right? Like, be smart about it. I was in a position where I knew I could figure it out and that we weren't going to be completely struggling. Like, we were just going to have to change our lifestyle a little bit. And we might struggle, but it would have been something that I would have been able to like figure out. So for me, I knew I was safe. But in my past, I have done this and I have put this in a not a great situation, which is where I was taking pause and just been like, wait a minute, am I repeating old patterns, or is this really, am I being smart and am I really thinking about this? So I'm not saying go follow your dreams and frick everything up by like jamming yourself up by not having any income and putting yourself into a position of not being able to take care of yourself or your family. But do what you can to follow those nudges that you're getting and then until you can get to it. But I really do believe you got to let go and make room before you can really let in what's going to be your next step, and then allow you to get to your next highest level. And I think it's just something that's just so beautiful, and I cannot wait to just share with you guys this journey that I'm going to go on and what we're going to be doing. I can't wait to show you the projects that I got lined up. I mean, we have this Airstream that's been sitting in our garage, not our garage, but in our driveway for almost a year now. It's a 1974. We're going to gut it. We're going to turn it into an Airbnb. So I'm really excited to bring you down that journey. I'm excited to show you some of these kitchen designs I'm doing. I'm excited to show you some of these concepts I'm making for environments. So my drive is really building houses, not building houses necessarily, but redesigning them and making their spaces so much more efficient for the way that we actually live. So where I live here, they build houses all the time and they're all identical, right? Or they're like mirror images of each other. They're all very similar. And believe it or not, I see a lot of water damage at these homes because it's quick turnarounds and they're not taking their times. I'm assuming they're getting inspections and passing, but we're still seeing like water issues with like dishwashers and stuff. So don't think because you have a new house that you're invincible of having any kind of natural disaster or some kind of issue with your plumbing. But don't be scared either. That was not supposed to be like a doomsday thing for you, okay? But so I lost my place here. My concept. So I am excited to just really, when they build these houses, it's not necessary, it's for the greater good, right? It's just like, what's the most efficient way that all these families can live? But we don't all live the same. We all move through our houses very differently. We all have different hobbies. We all have different interests and things that we like to do. And so I think it's so important to bring our homes into our spaces, right? Like create them for ourselves. And how else can we do that if we don't have some custom built things that are made especially just for us? And so I cannot wait to show you some of these ideas that I come up with, the things I'm going to be doing in my own home. I have this whole office idea that I plan on doing. It's going to include a secret bookshelf door. So I'm excited to share that and also figure out how to build it. So keep a lookout for that. And then the Airstream, I got some cozy corners going for the kids' room. That's a whole thing. I can't wait to show you. And so I'm just really pumped about what's coming next and following that nudge I had to just follow it and do it and be done with my job by December 1st. So the resignation's in. I actually might be working there part-time. We're working stuff out. So it all just will line up. It's going to be exactly the way it's supposed to be, as it needs to be. And that's what I'm going to have faith in. So wish me luck. I can't wait to show you, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Thank you for hanging out today. If you liked what you heard, please make sure you hit subscribe, and I hope to see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.